Alright, so welcome to the first real development video of our new ELO API for Devscorch 4.0. Okay, so as you can see, I have here Xcode open, and as you can see, this is the dot package, and how this is structured. So we have the package, and inside the package we actually have our all the packages which we are using and which are important. So in this case, Vapor, Fluent Postgres driver, and Leaf. So Fluent is used for building models, and Fluent Postgres driver is actually to connect it to a Postgres database. Pretty cool. I just figured that I forgot to show you guys how to create a Vapor application. So let's open up Terminal really quick. Terminal. Okay. So let's say we go to our desktop, right? So cd desktop. How this actually works, and you can find this in the Vapor documentation if you want to install Vapor on your computer. I'm not going to show you that in this video, but what you can actually do is Vapor new, and let's call this test. And now it's cloning a template from Vapor from the Vapor GitHub. This takes a little while, and after that you get actually a few multiple choices. So in this case, Fluent, yes. We want to use Postgres, and yes, we also want to use Leaf. So now the project is working, and when you want to open it, you go to your test system, and you're going to open up the package.swift. So as you can see, at this moment we are on Vapor 4.55.4 or 0.0, sorry, and this is at the moment of recording the latest version. This is Fluent, is version 4. Postgres driver is version 2, and then we have leaf.git is 4.1.5. Okay, so we're gonna use in this series, or in this API, we're actually gonna use like how do you call it, like a development language. We're gonna use a little bit like MVC, so model view and controller, but we're also gonna use something called services. And this is like a separate system. So the whole idea is that the controllers, so the controllers is the system that's actually talking to our apps and to our website. But the services are actually the system that is controlled by the controller. So that means that the controller, when it wants to do something, it's gonna call the service. And this is something that I learned at my previous employer. And it's actually a really good way of coding. I actually really like it, so that is that's why I adopted it. Now, the controllers, as stated, these are gonna talk to our applications and to the user, right? So when you want to get a course or you want to get an article, that's you're gonna talk with these. After that, we have the migrations. So the whole idea about migrations is they create the standard models into the database. So the moment when we have written our models, we're gonna add them to the database so that we can actually manipulate data and that we can save them. Models, as stated, these are actually the systems or the code or the objects which we're gonna store in the database. So like users, courses, and so on. And I already explained services. This is the configure. And the whole idea about the configure is actually that we're gonna in here we put all the configurables which you can configure. So database, renderer, file directory, course in the course settings, and so on and so on. And after that, here we have routes. So in routes we actually, what's this? In routes we actually put all the routes, so all the endpoints which we are talking to. So for example, when we want to talk courses, we're gonna do api.devscorch/courses, for example. And that's actually everything that we put inside routes. Okay, so let's get our Notion. There we have models. I have to open something on the side. Okay, I found it. Okay, so let's open models. So in total we need like I think 8 models or something. So we're gonna need a user model. So these are so this is the model which we're gonna use for our users. So when somebody want to sign up or sign in, these have like different kinds of variables like name, last name, date of birth, username, email, created at, updated at, address, zip code, and so on and so on. And in here we actually have is subscribed, and this is a boolean, saved posts. So this is like a system when you see like an article which you really enjoy, you can save it. Password. We're gonna give user roles, and in the future I'm also gonna add an ebook store to the website. Then we have the course model, article model, category model, video model, tutorial model. So tutorial model are actually the tutorial videos. These are free. And after that, the subscription model, podcast model. Yes, Devscorch is actually going to build a coding podcast in which we are going to talk about a lot of information like coding, Swift coding, and so on and so on. I'm not sure yet how to form this and with who, because I've been talking with a few people to do a podcast together, but apparently nobody's interested because coding is boring according to them. Then we have the section model, and the section model is like when you have like a course and it has like different sections, but this is going to be optional. So you can also make a course with 20 videos if you want, or you can make like a really big course with 50 sections, 2000 videos, doesn't matter. And we have the ebook model. I'm not sure if we're going to build the ebook model now because this is actually a system that I want to add up later in the later in the development process, but we will see. So first, let's start the logic. So in models, we're gonna do a new folder, and this is gonna be users. Or you know what? Let's make this user models. User model. I think that is better. After that, we're gonna do course model. And another one. This is gonna be section model. And the next one is gonna be tutorial model. Actually, I like to separate everything. I like to work really structured. This is something that is 100% me, so don't really worry about it if you don't do that. So then we have the lecture model. After that, we're gonna do article model. Of course, the easiest thing for you will be to do the same as me if you are coding with me. But if you want to do differently, you can do that as well. This has no impact on the total readability or the functioning of the system. This is just for me. So let's go back here really quick. User model, we have course model, article model, we have category model. We also need that one. And we're gonna do the folder, category model. After that, we're gonna do, let me check really quick. Article model, category model, video model. That is lecture model now. Tutorial model. And this one we're gonna call podcast model. After that, we're gonna do category. No, category model we already have. I think we have them all, right? Was there something else? We forgot the subscription model. The subscription model is gonna be a little bit different because for this we're gonna need Stripe, and I'm gonna talk to that later because I still have to research that. The whole idea about this video series is that we're gonna code in a way how we actually build a project. So that means that when I make a mistake or when something is crashing, I'm gonna try to show you guys how we fixed it. And that is the whole idea about this. Okay. So let's go here. Under here we have like a to-do model. And this is like a little bit like how a model looks. So we have the final class of to-do. It's gonna be model and content. Static let schema. So this is the database schema that we're gonna use. After that, we have the field key. This is the field key of the database and a variable, but we're gonna do it a little bit differently than here. So how are we gonna do this? We go to, okay, let's in app, let's create a new file, a new folder, and we're gonna call this enums. Perfect. And inside enums, we're gonna do a new file, and this is gonna be a Swift file. And the Swift file is gonna be how are we gonna name this? Yes, let's do database schemas. And in here, we're going to do import vapor. And under there, we're going to do enum, database schemas. And this is going to be string. Okay. Okay, and in here, we're going to do case. And the case is going to be users. The next one is going to be articles. Next one is going to be courses. Hey, courses. After that, we're going to do lectures. So lectures is going to be the video, is the new video model. That is going to be podcasts. Next one is going to be sections. Next one is going to be subscriptions. Then we have tutorials. So case, tutorials. After that, we're going to do case. We already have users, but we're going to delete it here so that we actually have like a nice tree that we know exactly how it looks. So users. Okay, so how this works, as you can see here, we have like the static-let schema is to-dos, right? And the way how I like the code is that everything is in one place. So in this case, database schemas is an enum. And this means that when we need to change like a scheme, right? We need to change the schema. What we actually can do, we only have to change it here. So we know, oh, I need to change the schema. Let's go to database schemas, and here we have it. When it's stored in here, we first have to go to app, after that to models, after that to user models, and after that to final class, and after that to static-let. So that's a little bit what we're going to do differently. And we're going to do some other things differently as well, but I'm going to show you that now. So inside user model, we're going to do command N. We're going to do new file. And this is going to be user model, user model.swift. And we're going to change here file also to user model. So just that we know what it is. Under there, we're going to do import vapor. And in here, we're actually going to use a final class. So a final class actually means that the class doesn't change at all anymore. And this is going to be user model. And this is going to be, I think it's going to be model and content. Oh yeah, we can use model for now. We don't need content. Let's check to do really quick. Yes. And under the final class, we're actually going to create an extension of user model. And this is going to be content. To be honest, when I work with Swift, or when I code in Swift, I actually like to use extensions. This keeps the code a little bit more readable, to my opinion, because sometimes you have like a really big class, and the class is like 500-600 lines of code, too long. Just break it up in extensions so that you actually know where all the information is. Okay, so under there, we're gonna make a comment, mark, and this is gonna be the database schema, and the database schema is actually which creates the table inside the database. So in here, we're going to do static-let schema is equal to, then we're going to call database schemas, that's the enum, dot, we're going to call users, dot, I think we're going to be raw value, yes. So what this means, now the static-let schema is equal to database schemas.users.raw value. So when we go here, that's this one, right? Case users. And now I hope you understand a little bit what I mean, because when we want to change the schema or something goes wrong, we only have to go to this file, because there all the schemas are there, so we don't need to change every model anymore. Under there, I'm gonna do mark, and this is gonna be field keys. And the whole reason about the reason why I do this is actually something that I learned from an ebook about Vapor. And this way we can actually structure everything really good. So we can do field keys with no value. Then we can do static var. And let's get our list really quick. So we're gonna put this to there, so that we can actually see what we need, right? So we're gonna need static var name is field key. then curly braces, and in here we're gonna call name. Okay, so the field key, that's actually the key for the database, and we put it in struct because later we actually gonna call the field keys in our migrations as well. But that's gonna be in a later video. And yes, what we actually could have done was actually put all the field keys in one file. So, but then we have like 20 or 30 different field keys. And yeah, I don't think that's a good practice, but maybe I will change that later. Who knows? We can actually look at that as well. And I think we need to import something else. So we're gonna import Fluent so that we can actually use the field key. Yes, so we need to import Fluent to use field key. After that, we have last name. So static let or static var last name is field key. And that's going to be done last name. Then we have static var date of birth. This is going to be field key. Date of birth. One more thing, there's like a really big discussion where I work with databases. Do you make date of birth together with capital O's, or do you use like dash or these thingies? I like to work like this. If you want to do something else, you can do that as well. So we're gonna do static var username. This is gonna be field key. Then curly braces is gonna be username. After that, static var. This is gonna be email. It's also gonna be a field key. After that, we're gonna have created at. And the whole reason about created at and updated at is actually that we can give ourselves, so the developers or the admins and the users, like extra information about themselves. So when I want to see when a user is created, we can actually do something with that. Or updated at is also the same. So when a user wants to see when he for last updated his profile, for example, and when he knows I didn't update a profile on that date, for example, then he maybe knows that somebody else has been playing with this account, for example. Just it can all happen these days. I mean, I heard about a hack on Samsung the other day, and yes, I already downloaded all the source code because I really like to see how those big companies code. Most of the times, it's actually really nice. And let's see. So field key, and in here, this is going to be the zip code, static var. This is going to be country. I think for the country, we're actually going to give them like a scroll. So we actually need to create an enum with all the countries inside. I'm not going to do that now, but maybe we give them like a list where they can choose from. I think that is actually a good solution. So we're going to do static var is subscribed, field key. And this is going to be is subscribed. And as you can see, maybe you don't see it, but I do. We actually forgot a few variables here, because we know he is subscribed, but when did he subscribe, until when? So what we can do is static var subscribed at. This is going to be field key, and this is going to be subscribed at. And the last one is static var subscription end. It's also going to be field key. So what this means is, for example, a new user subscribes, right, to the system or to our courses, and he pays for a month. So let's say he starts on the 1st of January. So he subscribed at the 1st of January, and then automatically the subscription ending is also filled in. So that means that the moment a subscription ends and he has like automatic payments turned on, then the system does a listening, has a listen function, and the moment a subscription ends, it's gonna renew the subscription. Pretty cool. But it's also possible that he says, okay, I just want to pay for a month, but I turn off automatic payments. And then the system knows, okay, so subscription ended at the 1st of February, so turn is subscribed off. So then the system turns subscribed to false. And what it actually means is that the moment he does that, the user doesn't have access to his to the courses anymore. Okay, and oh, we need another one. After that, static var saved posts is going to be field. Let's change this. Let's save posts. Change to articles. It's going to be field key, and after that, saved articles. Pretty cool. So as you can see till now, this is actually really easy. But this is actually how coding works. It's I mean, you build, and later on we're gonna test it, and yeah, it's gonna be okay. So after that, we're gonna create an init because we actually need to initialize everything. But in Vapor 4, we actually need an empty init to initialize, and after that we're gonna use a filled init. So and we don't need the decoder, so we're gonna do init. Hey, after that, okay. So the first init is empty. That's something that Vapor requires these days. And then we have the second one. So inside here, oh, wait a second. No, we don't need the inits yet. First, let's declare the variables. So let's do this. // mark. And these are going to be variables. So just to show you with mark, I see I don't have the canvas activated. Let's see if we can canvas. Let's turn this one off. We're gonna put canvas on the right. Okay. Sorry, I needed a minimap. So the moment when you have like field keys here, right? So in here you see like database schema and variables. When you use mark, it actually makes it bigger on the minimap, and this way we actually see a lot more. So let's make this bigger again so that we can see something. So the first thing we're gonna do is get ID. And under there we're gonna do var ID is equal to UUID. This is gonna be an optional. And this is actually the unique identifier of our user. So the moment when a user is created, it's gonna get a random generated user ID. In Vapor, this is like 16 characters long. After that, we're gonna do add field key. This is gonna be key. No, we need a small key. And this is gonna be field keys. Dot name. And under there, we're gonna do var name is equal of string. And we're not gonna require it, so we're gonna make this an optional. And the reason why is because a lot of people actually don't like to give that kind of information yet, right? When they register or they want to sign up, just username, email, that's more than enough. When they want to fill that information in later, they can. So we're gonna do field key. After that, we're gonna call key. Oh my god. And after that, we have field keys. Dot, that's gonna be last name. When I work with systems like this, I actually like to do it in a way that we follow the order. So name, last name, date of birth. Don't do it. Don't mix them up, because for some reason, sometimes you forget something and then you have to start over again and it's going to be really messy. So date of birth is going to be date. And we're also going to make this an optional. Field keys, field key. After that, we're going to call key. And this is going to be username. Oh, not username. This is going to be field keys dot username. And after that, var username is string. We actually gonna require this one, so we're not gonna silence this one out. We're gonna do field key, and it's gonna be field keys dot email. Oh, and we're also gonna make this. We're also gonna require this one, so we're gonna do var email. It's gonna be string. At field key. Now we have key, field keys dot. The next one is gonna be created at. And as you can see, we actually forgot something, didn't we? We forgot the password. So on the username, now let's do it on the email. We're gonna add another one, static var password is field key of string, and it's gonna be password. And after that, that's this one. So we're gonna change created at to password. And after that, var password is string. We're also gonna require that one. Field key is gonna be key. And this is gonna be field keys dot created at. This is gonna be var created at. This is gonna be date. We're gonna make this required, but we're gonna actually let the backend fill it in automatically. So the moment when the user registers, the created at is gonna take the date the moment he registers automatically. So the user doesn't need to do that themselves. There's actually something how it should be, but a lot of websites actually still f this up. Then we're gonna need field keys dot updated at. This is gonna be var updated at. There's gonna be field keys. That's this one. Dot. No, we don't need. Sorry. We need the date. At field keys. This is gonna be key. This is gonna be field keys. Dot address. And then var address is gonna be string. And we're gonna make this an optional, because when the user already uses Stripe, we don't need the information. I don't want to store information I don't like to store user information which I don't have a use of. And the reason for this is that when Devscorch gets hacked, because something like that can happen, of course, and they steal they steal the information from my website. So that's why we're just gonna do it like this. We actually need a capital K here. And we're gonna make it all optional so that when the user wants to show the information, he can actually do that, but he is not required to. But we're gonna make sure that our system is actually pretty secure. And country is also gonna be a string at the moment. Later we're actually gonna make a list of countries where they can actually choose the country from, and then we're gonna actually give that. Yeah, we're gonna format to that, but not at the moment. After that, we're gonna need is subscribed. So add field key. Add field key. Then we're gonna have key. Field keys dot is subscribed. Var is subscribed. This is gonna be a bool. And we're gonna make this required. And we're gonna write this in a way that the moment when a user registers the first time, it's gonna be false. And the moment when the user pays, it's gonna get updated to Boolean or to yes, so to true. So we're gonna do add field key, and we're gonna do field keys dot, which one do we have now? That's gonna be subscribed at var subscribed at. This is gonna be date. Yeah, we're gonna make that also required. Then we're gonna do field key. And the key is gonna be field keys dot injected limit subscribed at. Then we have subscription field keys dot subscription end. Then we have var subscription end. This is going to be also a date. Then we have field keys key field key dot saved articles var saved articles. And actually this is something the saved article system, we could actually do this differently, because the moment when the user actually has like saved articles, right? So let's say you as a user, you have like 1 million articles stored in your model. It's gonna be really hard. Maybe it's better if we sort this to, or if we put this in the actually in the article model. So that means that we store the user ID inside the article model, and the moment when we retrieve a user in the front end or in the API, that we actually read the article model, and that we're actually gonna check for that user in the array. Yeah, we're gonna do that. So we're not gonna do saved articles anymore. We're actually gonna delete that one. We're gonna put that later into our article system. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna open up Notion here. We're gonna check, and we don't have it in the article model, so we can actually put it here. And in here we're gonna actually use saved by users. Now I added it to our list, what we have to do. Okay, and I see we've got one more. So let's go here. Static var user role. There's gonna be a field key. And in there we're gonna do user role. Okay. And under there, so we're gonna add the last one, add field key. And it's gonna be key, field keys, dot user role. It's this one. That's gonna be var user role. And we're actually gonna conform this to user role. Even pauze. And we didn't create user role yet, so let's do that now. So we go to, let's see, we go to enums, and in the enum folder, we're actually gonna create a new file, and we're gonna call this user role. And we're also gonna change file here to user role. Under there, we're actually gonna do enum user role, and this is gonna be string, comma content, comma I think it's gonna be equitable. And in here we're gonna do case user, case admin. You know what? Let's make a tree out of this. So admin, case moderator, case instructor, and user. Let's add student as well, because maybe we're gonna change around some stuff. So maybe because here, for example, let's go back to user model for now. So we still have like the is subscribed, right? And that is true or false. But maybe it's better if we actually delete this one and we add it to the user role. So that means the moment the user role is student, we already know he has paid, right? And then later when we have like the is subscribed and subscribed add and subscription ends, when we have these two and when the subscription ends, instead of making this true or false, we can actually update the user role. So instead of student, it's going to be user. This actually, we're going to think about this. We're going to think about this. I'm not sure about it yet, but we're going to think about this. So now we are back in the user model. And in here, we're going to do ID. It's going to be UUID. And it's going to be nil at the moment of writing. After that, so let's see. The next one is going to be... I think, yeah, we forgot one more here. So we have to do add field key. It's going to be field key dot last name. And after that, for last name, it's going to be a string. And it's going to be optional. Okay. So after that, we're going to do name. It's going to be string, optional, comma. Last name is going to be string of optional. And I think the next one is going to be username. No, it's going to be date of birth. So date of birth is going to be date. After that, I'm going to username. It's going to be string. And after that, I think we have email. Yes, we have. That's going to be email. It's going to be string. After that, password is going to be string. And after password, we have created at. It's going to be date. After that, updated at. It's going to be date. After that, we have address. That's going to be string. And we're going to make them optional because we don't really need the information. Then we're going to do zip. It's going to be string. Optional. After that, we have country. That's going to be string at the moment, because, but we're going to change that later, maybe. I'm not sure yet. Let's change this. Because the whole idea about giving the user like a scroller to check, the reason why a lot of companies do that is so that they don't make a spelling mistake, or that they don't put in countries like Narnia, for example. So that's why. And after country, we're gonna have is subscribed. Oh, that's a difficult one, right? Because we actually were talking about getting rid of subscribed and just update the user role. Yes, let's do that. So we're gonna delete is described. So we don't need that anymore. Let's go back to the field key as well. Is subscribed. I'm gonna delete that one. Okay. So after that, we're gonna need subscribed at. It's gonna be date. And subscription ends is also gonna be date. And after that, we're gonna have user role. It's gonna be user role. Okay. Do we need something? No. Okay, perfect. Okay. Just for your information, this is how development works. Sometimes you're coding something and then you decide, oh, let's change it around, or let's do this, or let's do that. And I think you already saw 2 or 3 times me doing that in here. And the reason why is because at that moment you actually think about a better idea. And I'm not going to cut this out because I want to give you guys like a true development experience, so how coding actually goes. So after that, in here, inside the initializer, we're going to do self.id. is equal to ID. Self.name is equal to name. Self.last name is equal to last name. Self.date of birth is date of birth. Self.username is equal to username. Self.email is equal to email. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm actually writing on an Apple Magic keyboard, and the biggest problem is I'm Dutch, and I actually using a German one, so sometimes it's a little bit weird. So that's gonna be created at. That's gonna be created at self dot updated at is equal to updated at self dot address is equal to address. Self dot zip is equal to zip. Self dot country. Self dot country is equal to country. Self dot subscribed at is equal to subscribed at. And last but not least, or not the subscription end is equal to subscription end. And last but not least, self dot user role is equal to user role. Pretty cool. So we actually finished our first we actually finished our first model. We actually finished the user model. Let's clean this up a little bit by adding here another empty init, and under there another one. I actually like to comment out a lot of stuff because it's just good for it's good for when other people are looking at your code. Final init. Okay, let's make this one small. I'm actually really a sucker on this. I really like to make code to look at pretty. I find that's really important, and I hope you guys do as well. Did we forget something? No, this actually looks really nice. Yeah, pretty cool. So let's go to Notion. Let's change user model is finished. And first, let's drag models into progress, because we're actually working on that right now. Pretty cool. All right, so this video is almost 45 minutes long. I'm gonna end this video now, and in the next video we're actually gonna create the other models, and after that we're gonna see what happens. So this was our first video on the new Alloy API for Devscorch 4.0. As you can see, working as a developer actually is pretty cool. And now you actually see how real development goes, because a lot of YouTube channels and a lot of course websites and blah, 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 they actually, it looks like they throw code out of the hands like it's nothing. Like they open up their sleeve and they just kick out the code. That's not how coding works. And the same as what we did here, we actually already changed the model two or three times because we actually had a better idea. And this is how coding works, and that's what I wanted to show you. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you also learned something. I hope you guys are as stoked as I am on the development of Devscorch 4.0. And yes, let's go to the next video.